The Shambler. They are the granddaddy of all zombies. Slow, rotting, and endlessly hungry. You've seen them 1,000 times in black and white horror or walking through empty streets in modern apocalypse stories. They move with that stiff, awkward gait, like their bodies barely remember how to work. And that's part of what makes them so creepy. There's no rage or personality left, just instinct. They don't sprint, they don't think, they just keep coming. It's that quiet, inevitable kind of horror. The idea that no matter how far you run, they'll get you eventually because they never stop. What makes Shamblers so iconic isn't their power, but their persistence. You can outrun one easily, but you can't outrun 100. The real danger is in numbers and in how they wear you down. Imagine being stuck in a dead city for months, always hearing that slow shuffle somewhere in the dark. That's psychological terror. They don't need to leap at you or scream to be scary. The dread comes from knowing they are out there, always moving, always hunting. You don't lose to a Shambler because it's fast, you lose because you let your guard down for 5 seconds. There's also something poetic about the Shambler. It's not a mutant or a science experiment gone wrong. It's us, stripped of everything human. These zombies aren't clever or emotional, they are mirrors for what happens when society and identity rot away. That's why George A. Romero's original films hit so hard. His zombies weren't just monsters, they were symbols. They represented consumerism, conformity, and the fear of losing what makes us human. Even in later shows like The Walking Dead, the Shamblers remind us that the apocalypse isn't about the dead rising, it's about how the living fall apart trying to survive them. And honestly, that's why they've never gone out of style. Every few years, someone brings them back with a fresh coat of rot. They're simple but effective. You don't need fancy lore or mutated designs to make them terrifying. Just a dark hallway, a distant moan, and that slow dragging sound getting closer. They are horror boiled down to its purest form. Inevitable, mindless decay coming for you at walking speed. The Runner. The Runner zombie is the caffeine-fueled nightmare version of the Undead. All the hunger of a classic Shambler, but with the cradio of an Olympic sprinter. They burst onto the scene in movies like 28 Days Later and World War Z, flipping the slow burn terror of old zombie flicks into full-on chaos. There's no time to breathe, no corner to hide in. Once they see you, it's a chase, not a hunt. That sudden shift in pace redefines zombie horror, turning it from creeping dread into pure panic. 1 second you're safe. Next, you're sprinting for your life because 10 infected just exploded out of nowhere. They are violent, primal, and full of that animal-like energy that feels real. You can't reason with them, can't hide behind a locked door for long, because they'll smash it down or pile on top of each other until something gives. They make survival horror urgent. Instead of thinking 3 moves ahead like in Romero era, you're just reacting, running, screaming, and hoping your legs hold out longer than theirs. That constant tension keeps audiences on edge, because it's no longer if the zombies catch you, it's when. There's also a psychological layer to runners that hits differently. With Shamblers, the fear is existential. With runners, it's panic. They feel alive, almost too alive, which makes them even more disturbing. In many stories, they are not technically dead, they are infected humans, burning with a rage virus or parasitic control, and that makes them familiar. They are still human-shaped, still screaming, still bleeding, but completely stripped of empathy or control. And that's what makes them relevant. The Runner zombies mirrors modern fears, like pandemics, chaos, collapse that happens fast. They represent how society doesn't just fall apart slowly anymore. It implodes overnight. They don't stumble through the apocalypse, they drag the world into it. Whether you're watching the sprinting hordes in Train to Busan or the wall-scaling nightmares of World War Z, Runners remind us that in the modern world, the real horror is how quickly everything can go to hell. The Mutated or Enhanced Zombie. It is where the apocalypse starts getting creative and horrifyingly unfair. These aren't your average brain eaters anymore. They've evolved. Whether it's a side effect of a virus, radiation, or some lab experiment gone terribly wrong, these creatures push the undead concept into full-on monster territory. Think of the Resident Evil games. Lickers crawling on ceilings, tyrants stomping through walls, or clickers in The Last of Us, using echolocation to hunt you down. These aren't just walking corpses. They are predators designed to make survival almost impossible. What makes them stand out is adaptation. The infection doesn't just kill, it changes. Bodies twist, skin hardens, limbs stretch into claws, and sometimes the infection gives them abilities no human should have. They might spit acid, explode undead, or move with terrifying animal precision. Every new mutation becomes its own flavor of nightmare, forcing survivors to rethink how they fight or hide. It's evolution in real time. But underneath the body horror, there's something fascinating about how these zombies reflect our fear of human experimentation and bioengineering. The idea that we might create something we can't control, something that literally turns us into weapons. Movies and games often tie these mutants to corporations or scientists who push too far, like Umbrella in Resident Evil. That gives them a layer of moral horror. horror. So the monsters aren't just spawned from random chance, but from our own obsession with power and progress. Visually, they are the showstoppers. Every story that includes them tends to have that boss-level creature, the one you hear before you see. They are designed to make your pulse spike and your plans fall apart. Whether it's a bloated creature charging down a hallway, or a silent stalker blending in the dark, mutated zombies bring a sense of unpredictability back to a genre that could have gone stale. The intelligent zombie. It flips the script on what it means to be undead. Instead of mindless hunger, these creatures start showing sparks of memory, emotion, or even strategy. They might still crave flesh, sure, but somewhere behind the rotting eyes, there's a hint of self-awareness. You see it in Day of the Dead's Bub, who learns to use a gun, or in Warm Bodies, where a zombie literally starts to feel again. This version isn't about brute force or speed. It's about the unsettling idea that death didn't erase the person entirely. What makes them so fascinating is the moral confusion they create. If a zombie can think, can it be reasoned with? Can it be saved? Stories with intelligent undead blur the line between monster and victim, forcing characters and audiences to rethink what being alive even means. Suddenly, it's not about survival, it's about empathy. These zombies aren't the enemy so much as a tragic figures, trapped between worlds, too human to be beasts, too far gone to be people. And that mix of horror and heartbreak hits deeper than any jump scare. They also open the door to new kinds of storytelling. Instead of endless chases, you get tension through connection, zombies who communicate, plan, or even rebel. In some worlds, they form societies, remember their past, or evolve toward something entirely new. The infection becomes a strange kind of rebirth, not just decay. Shows like A Zombie or comics like Marvel Zombies take it further, giving the undead humor, emotion, and complex motives. They are not just surviving the apocalypse, they are shaping what comes after it. And maybe that's why the intelligent zombie keeps showing up. It challenges the genre's most basic rule, that death is the end of humanity. The Parasite or Hive-Mind zombie. It is where horror meets biology, a terrifying blend of infection and intelligence. These aren't random, shambling corpses, they are connected, whether it's fungal spores like in The Last of Us, alien parasites like the Flood from Halo, or the necromorphs from Dead Space. This version of the undead works as one organism spread across countless bodies. They share awareness, react collectively, and adapt faster than any single creature ever could. It's no longer a horde of individuals, it's one massive, evolving consciousness with a single purpose: consume and expand. What makes them so disturbing is that there is no leader to kill, no cure to find, no bargaining chip. Cut off one head, and the hive just grows a dozen more. Every infected host becomes both a weapon and a sensor, feeding information back to the collective. You are not fighting zombies anymore, you are fighting the system itself. It's like trying to stop mold from spreading with a knife. And that feeling of helplessness is what gives Hive-Mind zombies their edge. They also strike at something deeply psychological, like the fear of losing individuality. In these stories, infection doesn't just kill you, it absorbs you. Your thoughts, your memories, your body are repurposed into the collective's goals. It's a fate worse than death because it's total erasure. You don't run away, you are overwritten. That's why so many hive-based horrors hit hard. They mirror our anxieties about conformity, control, and being consumed by something bigger than ourselves, whether that's technology, ideology, or nature itself. Visually, the way the infection spreads through spores, tendrils, or grotesque transformations makes the environment itself part of the threat. You're not safe anywhere because even the air or walls might be alive. So they are not just undead, they are organized, unstoppable, and terrifyingly efficient. The supernatural or cursed undead. They are where zombie stories step out of science and dive straight into dark magic, ancient rituals, and pure cosmic threat. These aren't the result of a virus or a lab experiment gone wrong. They are raised by forces way beyond human understanding. Think of the Evil Dead Deadites, the Whites from Game of Thrones, or the skeleton armies in the Army of Darkness. They don't follow the rules of biology or logic. They rise because something willed them to. And that's far more terrifying than any infection. They can be anything from reanimated corpses powered by black magic to vengeful spirits possessing bodies. They don't rot away or tire out, and sometimes killing them only makes things worse. They are tied to the supernatural world, to relics, demons, or gods, which means beating them isn't about brute force, it's about breaking the curse or surviving long enough to outsmart the darkness behind it. There's also a sense of tragedy baked into this kind of zombie. A lot of cursed undead didn't choose their fate, they were revived to serve some necromancer, bound by ancient oaths, or cursed for sins they barely remember. These zombies can glow, fly, scream spells, or even infect the land around them. They are horror elevated to legend, apocalyptic armies powered by the supernatural. Whether it's the icy magic of the White Walkers or the demonic possession of the Deadites, these cursed undead remind us that sometimes death is just the beginning of something much darker. The cosmic or god-tier zombie. It is the final, terrifying evolution of the undead, the point where decay meets divinity. These aren't your neighborhood flesh eaters anymore. They are beings that have transcended death entirely and turned it into a universal force. Picture Marvel zombies devouring entire galaxies, or zombified Galactus consuming planets, or eldritch abominations like Lovecraft's undead horrors drifting through space. These creatures don't spread infection the way normal zombies do, they spread extinction. They don't just threaten life, they threaten existence itself. When these things rise, there's no bunker, no cure, and no hope. Just silence after the feast. They take the apocalypse and blow it up to cosmic event. Entire worlds fall apart, civilizations vanish, and even gods are powerless to stop it. The infection becomes a universal constant, like entropy or gravity, inevitable and unstoppable. It's the endgame of horror, where death isn't personal or emotional anymore. The universe itself becomes undead. That's what makes stories like Marvel Zombies or Dead Space's Marvel lore so chilling. They show us a cosmos where the dead win by design. And that cold, inevitable kind of horror hits differently. You can't shoot it, reason with it, or burn it because it's woven into the fabric of existence itself. And narratively, these zombies are the ultimate full circle, the logical extreme of every undead story before them. From a single corpse rising in a graveyard to entire galaxies falling to hunger. It's the myth of decay scaled to infinity. The Shambler was scary because it wouldn't stop chasing you. The cosmic zombie, it doesn't need to, because no matter where you run, there's nowhere left alive to go.